Hello and good afternoon. My name is Ila. I am from the Consumer and Investor Office at the Securities Commission Malaysia. Welcome to today's InvestSmart Online Series webinar. Today's webinar is titled Business Financing and Alternative Investment via P2P Financing. First of all, we would like to thank you for taking the time today to be here today. We are pleased to have with us today Mr. Matthew Noel Fernandez from microLEAP to present on the topic Business Financing and Alternative Investment via P2P Financing. Allow me to share a brief background on Matthew. Matthew has been working in the financial services industry for 10 years, specifically in financial planning and wealth management, as well as the FMCG industry, before he started with microLEAP. Matthew holds a Bachelor of Commerce majoring in Economics and Management from Monash University. He also serves as a community member in the FinTech Association of Malaysia, as well as being part of the Sunway University College Academic and Investment Advisory Board. A bit of background on microLEAP. So microLEAP is an Islamic conventional P2P financing platform regulated by the SC. So P2P financing in Malaysia is an alternative financing tool on one side and an alternative investment tool on the other. microLEAP focuses on the micro, small, medium enterprise sectors, and microLEAP is the first P2P operator in Malaysia to offer both Islamic and conventional financing on the same platform. Now, please stay tuned till the end of this presentation as we will have a short Q&A session. Next. Now, I will pass it over to Matthew to share his presentation titled Business Financing and Alternative Investment via P2P Financing. Over to you, Matthew.
Hi. Thank you. Let me just get this sorted out. Share sound. Okay. Right, can everyone see my screen? Hold on, let me just, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to the SC and InvestSmart for having us for this webinar series. I'll just give a short intro video, and then I'll go on to what's microLEAP all about, as well as explaining how to invest in P2P, etc., and also a few key points which I'll share point by point. But let me just start off with our investor video. Our intro video.
Hi, I'm Tubidani, founder of microLEAP. What is microLEAP? microLEAP is a Sharia-compliant peer-to-peer financing platform. For only 50 ringgit, you can get high returns, invest in Sharia-compliant investment notes, make an impact on local businesses, and yes, we are regulated by the Securities Commission of Malaysia. Are the investment notes good? No. Alhamdulillah, they're super great. Each investment note earns a return of between 12 to 18% per annum, and we provide personal accident insurance to our issuers for free.
Platform kami juga ada dalam bahasa Malaysia.
Malaysia boleh. And do you like getting low borrowing yields? I'm no Datuk Lee Chong Wei, but we make smashing returns. I'm not good at badminton. Stop using paper that you don't need, because everything is done online. Matt and I are going to get you started on your investments wherever you are. We're not just a Sharia-compliant P2P financing platform, we also provide impact to the community. Free basic debt management training.
Settle.
All Sharia-related costs absorbed by microLEAP.
Settle.
Free personal accident insurance.
Settle.
So stop wasting your time on the latest iPhone and start deciding where you're going to stack all those ringgit bills that I'll be making for you. We are microLEAP, a proudly Malaysian fintech platform regulated by the Securities Commission of Malaysia.
Let me also get to my deck. All right, so Welcome to today's topic. Is business financing and alternative investments with via P2P financing with microLEAP. So microLEAP is the first Sharia compliant and conventional P2P platform in Malaysia. As rightly pointed out, we're regulated by SC, and also as a simple check, even on our website, if you scroll to the sitemap, you can click on that SC link and it'll go straight to the RMO website. So it's all the RMOs, registered market operators, as already seen in the earlier video of DAX, ECF, and P2P are all listed there, including ourselves. So what is microLEAP? To make it quite a simplistic overview, is the fact that it's a matching platform between any one of us, as minimum of 50 ringgit only, to invest in all the MSMEs in Malaysia that are being credit checked by microLEAP that need business financing. Please take note that personal financing is not allowed. So if you wish to get the latest iPhone or some wedding budget, please do not come to us for that. But of course, if it's a genuine business, whether it's online, brick to click, etc., then yes, please, any MSME that needs 1,000, 50,000 can come through microLEAP, and microLEAP Plus, which covers invoice financing, car dealer financing, etc., which I will touch on later, up to 500,000 for microLEAP. And if you build a credit history with us, we may look to give you more financing. So that is the microLEAP in a nutshell. But a very important point that we need to make here is the fact that there's an 80 billion MSME funding gap in Malaysia. And that is also mainly due to also a lack of access, because yes, I mean, of course, during COVID, I think all operators, including ourselves, but thankfully not as much as the banks. The credit criteria for the banks in general, long before COVID has always been way too stringent. And the outreach has been the worst part of it all, because as a branch model, you can't have them in, say, a rural part of Simpang Renggam in Johor, for example. It's just, it doesn't make sense for the banks, because its small loans are too expensive, and obviously it's only larger profitable loans is when things actually make sense for them. So hence where we come in, we look to plug that gap. We're fully tech-based. I'm proud to say that we have an issuer in every state in Malaysia, or several issuers in every state in Malaysia. So that always is a huge plus point. I think that's something I see we have to applaud, that we've gone via this method of being fully online and fully accessible. And also our website is in English and DM. Application, KYC, payments, drawdowns, everything is done online. We target the underserved by increasing financial inclusion. As you can see from our intro video, we give basic debt management accounting training in English BM for free. We also make sure that there's free PA key person insurance to make sure, say, for the food truck driver gets into an accident, breaks his arm, can't drive the food truck. That's where we come in again. The entire principal is covered by our insurance partner. Please note that everything goes to trustees. So it will be paid back to the trustees, and trustees will pay back to the individual investor trust account that invested in that particular business, in that particular food truck business. And then also less budget constraints. Obviously, since we're, with relatively low cost, we were able to reach and scale quickly to basically all of Malaysia. And a key important point here is that we are ripe for digital financing initiatives such as this, because smartphone penetration in 2018 was 78%, internet penetration at 87 plus. Of course, that's 2018, now it's 2022. And I think also post-pandemic, I mean, everyone's used to doing things online. And let's just go through a bit of a customer journey, real people, real impact, so this is something which I think very important to point out. Our typical investors, retail investors, the likes of Ali, as well as Lee. Lee is looking for community impact and ethical products, because ethical and Islamic principles go hand in hand. And the likes of Ali is looking for Sharia compliant investments and Sharia compliant assets. And we have several products to fulfill these needs. But let's go to Machikia, because this is a real life example down the road from where my mom's place in Johor Bahru. I used to cycle to this actual pizza goreng shop in Taman Surya, or Kampung Majidis rather. And it was a 30-year-old business that was doing pretty decent at the pandemic times, because they pivoted online. And that's where we came in, because we saw that The only reason they got rejected was because that as the company registration was about 3 years old, and just under 3 actually, even though the business has been around for over 30. And then we were realized that, hey, everything checks out. We've done our due diligence checks. We were happy with it. And we realized, yeah, this is something that we want to put forward to our P2P investors on microLEAP to come in and invest. And thankfully, this actually, I can proudly say this this issuer, Machikia over here, has actually fully repaid all our investors at a if I'm not mistaken, 12% PA. And the thing is, we provided again personal accident insurance, which was a bonus to her. She didn't know that she thought there was an extra payment there, but we provided that for free. It was we have a 6-month minimum requirement for MSMEs, but at the same time we make sure that they're profitable, because we got to jaga hati the investors as well as jaga hati our issuers. We got to be fair on both sides. But the main thing is, with this increased financing, not only did she manage to renovate her shop, but she managed to increase her sales, boosted her online presence, because she did now, sales via even WhatsApp and other platforms. Okay, so microLEAP features, just to give a bit of an overview. microLEAP, as mentioned, is 1,000, 50,000. microLEAP Plus is up to 500,000, with again Sharia compliant as well as conventional. We also have, which I'll touch on a bit later on, what we do with some key partnerships. But just to let everyone know, for the investment is only as little as 50 ringgit, and we also have very important to point out that we also have auto invest function that you can opt in, where you set your credit rating, you set your investment amount, maybe 50 ringgit or 100 ringgit or 300 ringgit per investment note that comes out that meets your low to medium risk credit rating. And even you say you added an extra 0, we give you a 24-hour window to retract any investments made. So there's also that and that's also to be fair. All funds are held in trust accounts, and every single investor has their own respective individual trust account attached to our main one. All issuers have a guarantor, so that's one of our mitigations, and I'll touch on a bit on our products and different securities that we have. But of course, must take into account that there's definitely risk involved. I mean, we cannot, as already pointed out in all the friendly SC videos that were played before, there's always risk with any investment. It's just that we will do our best as a platform to try and mitigate and try to give you the best overview of the company, as well as and more so in the case of the larger macro financing. We will even provide a fact sheet, so you get to know a bit more, a bit more layered details, granular details about the company before you invest in them. Also, as already mentioned, the issuers are covered by a key person PA insurance. It will be paid out to the investors, i.e. covering their principal, not the profit rate for Islamic or interest rate for conventional, but only the principal. Let's not get too greedy. But yes, the strict credit risk criteria also include psychometric testing, as this is another good credit scoring method for the thin files, because plenty of the microfinancing, sometimes they've never had a credit card or any credit details, including Machikia that we talked about earlier. They've been a cash laden business for many decades, but at the same time, they've never been, that's also probably why, people are more, adverse to taking them on board. But for us, with psychometric testing, we get the willingness to pay, the kesanggupan kind of thing. So we know that this is where this will feed into our proprietary credit algo to give us the rating of low risk 1 to medium risk 7, or even onwards to high risk 10. But so far, more so with COVID, we've been taking primarily low risk 1 to high risk 7. All issuers must pass this online video training. This is actually very key. You must make sure that these guys are able to handle their financing. If they haven't passed their basic debt management accounting training, they're not going to get 1 cent. So that's also another way we make sure that the micro guys are a bit more in place. And actually, because it's in English and DM, they've been pretty happy. This is something that feedback that we've gotten, because now from Buku 555, now suddenly they can use Excel. And in any case also, our team is ready to assist them, just like how our team is ready to assist the investors. And again, very important thing to point out, we are strictly regulated by Securities Commission of Malaysia. So, yep, I think I've touched on this already, but just to add a little bit more, we also have group financing that we digitize the Grameen model of group lending. We have this on our platform as well to help the womanpreneurs. We're looking forward to having few pilot projects within this next year or two. Hopefully, we will definitely, once you're on our platform, you will be kept in line, kept updated about this. All right, microLEAP Islamic, very important to give you guys a bit of an overview of what we're doing. Our Shara pronouncement, we got our microLEAP Islamic go live in 2020, actually 2 years ago to the date almost, in March of 2020 actually. So our first investment note was early April of 2020. And it's based on commodity murabaha. So the issuers industry must be Shara compliant. Actually, later I'll play an investor video to just so that you know a bit more about it. And also it's actually on our FAQs on our website as well. Everything's there in the sitemap. Most important point here is that whether you're investing in conventional Islamic, there's no difference in the cost, because whether the MSME that needs financing or the investor, that's the number one thing they ask. Malay, Chinese, English, line, Indian, everyone asks the same question. Is there any extra fees? Because it's Sharia compliant, because it's Islamic. In our case, it's not, because we absorb all those fees at the moment. This is our value add. This is always something we prided ourselves. We wanted to make sure the only way people will start to take into account Sharia investments is if they realize that, yeah, it's worth it, and I'm not paying anything extra for it. No extra cost, basically. And anyone can invest. We promote ethical P2P investments based on Sharia principles. As my CEO Tunggudani always says, Sharia principles and ethical investments go hand in hand. And Garama, we do not charge, we are quite reasonable with our fees, late fees. We either waive if there's actually good reason for it, or we have any late penalty fees we do collect, it's given to charity. These are just the overview of what microLEAP is all about. We have microfinancing, 1,050,000, profit rate 12 to 15 on average. Again, I think just to link up to the SC videos, nothing crazy, no 50% in 2 months nonsense. We try to keep it attractive for our investors, anywhere between 1 to 1.5, but then, and an overview. But we also have the more secured financing products, which are anywhere between 6 to 10. So we also have the lower scale, but that's where I am really proud to say that that's how it should be, right? It shouldn't be crazy return, but it should be, something that's pretty decent, and at least better than what's mostly out there. And the tenor for microfinancing is 6 to 36. Usually it's the MSME section. Payments, thankfully, are all monthly. So your returns also are monthly, and you can withdraw every month, every 3 months. But if you let it grow with us, then you can actually have a multiplier compound effect. Security for even the microfinancing, like Machikia, the business owner themselves are the guarantor. And if the guarantor, when we did our credit check, we found had a fair or weak score, we may ask for a secondary guarantor. So that's our security on that. Invoice financing, a lot more straightforward, 50,000 to 500,000. Profit rate is 1 to 1.5 per month, which is 12 to 18 PA. The security is basically the invoice and the guarantor. So that is because the invoice will be paid to a jointly controlled account between the issuer, which is say say we have had the lorry and money match. They will be paid to an account that we control and jointly controlled. So we are either the checker, maker, and as well as the signatory. So basically, when we cite the money, we pay back to our trustees. The trustees will pay back to all our investors. So that's where it's something which it's very important to point out. That's why we have that's why platforms like microLEAP under SC, we make sure we do our level best to take care of our investors. Of course, yes, these are more Sdn Bhd and SME segment. Tenor is anywhere between 1 to 6 only. You can also, as I mentioned earlier, you can set this up on your auto invest and let your auto invest do the work for you. Car dealer financing is up and coming. We're hoping to get this rolled out within H2 of this year or next. 50,000, 300,000, profit rate 12% PA, basically the payment structure. So yeah, That is on the car dealer side. Basically, it's either balloon payment or bullet, and everything also, again, it's all on our individual Q&As, FAQs with the issuer on every investment note. And grant financing as well, looking to launch within H2, and that's similar to Invoice that we've already launched from last year. All right, so just a bit of an overview on the landscape. So again, microLEAP is fully online. That's one of our best in class versus the overalls, the banks and money lenders, etc. Also MFIs, which are microfinance institutions. Financing type, again, we only do business financing, business growth, working capital only. No personal financing is allowed whatsoever. So then, that's also good, because the last thing we want is to be chasing individuals. That's going to be a headache and a half. Credit criteria, we're slightly less stringent, but of course, as I said, jaga hati, we have to take care of the investors. We have to make sure that we got a bit more of a tighter credit check on our credit algorithm when we do our assessments. Time to get funds is interesting, because this is where, if everything does check out, they submit on time, everything is a very good back and forth with our issuers, it could take as fast as 2 weeks. We have investment notes that were funded in a day or less, some as fast as half an hour. So it has been done before, and even larger quantums like 100,000 and even 250,000 has been funded really fast, because the investment notes are really solid, like the likes of the Lorry, Money Match, etc., as well as our micro guys that people are really interested in, including the Machikia. It was the start to finish was 2 weeks. And the rate is anywhere between, on the lowest side of things, this will be 6 on low risk one, right up to 18 PA, because some are low risk. I think it's good to point out for invoice financing, it could be a very low risk investment, because the invoice also acts as a security. But more importantly, the returns are anywhere between 12 to 18 or 1 to 1.5 per month. Okay, so just an overview of microLEAP. We've already dispersed up to 22 million in Sharia compliant funds. As you can tell, we're 0.5% conventional. I think that is something that the minute we went Islamic, the growth was quite significant. And this was as of 28th April. These are just the overviews of the investment notes that we funded, the type of companies we funded, and most importantly, the amount of companies we funded. So it's well over 100 companies. Average financing amount is 141,000. That's good so far. We've had a 0% default rate. But the thing is, I think realistically, as we all know from my fellow compatriots also, the issue here is the third year onwards, we are starting to see not so much default, but then we're starting to see late payments, etc. So we're managing the best we can. We're trying to see what we can do for early settlement, etc. But if and when we may need to face it, we will face it. We've always kept, our target has always been 0 to 3, and that's the industry standard as well for across the board for most P2P operators. Some may be higher, but the main thing is we want to make sure that on our side we do the best we can. So this is where we are on overall scale. This is the partnerships as I talked about earlier. Can go into slightly more detail now. We have the likes of MAA Berhad, our corporate investment partner from day one. They will look to fund, they have a rolling fund of 10 million that they will look to help co-invest in all our MSMEs that need financing, because every issuer, MSME that needs financing is treated as an investment note. So that's how it works. And then SME Corp runs their digital financing initiative with us, as well as Malaysia Technology Development Corporation. They even done their COVID relief funds via microLEAP to take care of their tech-related companies. Bank Pembangunan, also we're looking forward to getting this live this year. Not only are they looking to run the agri-tech farming program with us, but they're also looking to have an initial rolling fund of 1 million ringgit to fund all microLEAP Islamic investment notes under their Islamic mandate. And MySIF is the government Ministry of Finance funds, where they have a ratio of 1:4. This is fantastic. This is for every note on our platform, and 1:2 for the agri-tech sector for 2022. So that is something which is, I hope it'll be interesting, and also a good sense of security for investors to know that the government is investing together with you. Also, just over recognition, microLEAP over the years. We've been top 11 teams for Lead Ventures Alpha FinTech Startup Program. Also, UNCDF, they selected us as the top 18 under the Financial Innovation B40 Challenge, FinLab. And also, we won last year's Unicorn Pitches Online. We represented Malaysia for the APEC finals. Also, Startup of the Year nominee with top 3 among the huge cohort of Cradle's Coach and Grow program, as well as winning the Industry Recognition Award, FinTech with CGP Awards in last year, and also on BFM. Islamic FinTech Thought Leader, that's mainly my CEO, Tukudani. We've been also one thing I think good to point out, not just with key partners like SC and HTC, but also with iConnect. We're the founding member of this industry-led body to promote Malaysia as a global Islamic FinTech hub. I mean, it's good that we have these kind of bodies and these kind of associations, as well as the FinTech Association of Malaysia, actually, which I'm a committee member of, that helps to really champion us as Islamic P2P players, or Islamic, Islamic FinTech players, actually, rather. So to really help grow the Islamic FinTech space within Malaysia and the region. And that's to end on our team. And also I'll play a short video shortly. So let me get out of this thing first. But this is just an overview of who we are. I'm over there on the left. And I think this is our core team of our co-founders, myself and our CMO. We all of us here are partners of microLEAP as well. All right, let me just share this video. Actually, since I'm here, I do want to point out something very straightforward. As mentioned in all the SC videos, head down to our sitemap, click on SC's website, and you'll get straight to sc.com.my, and all of us are listed here. So you know exactly who you're dealing with and who are the licensed operators, you know. So it's very important to know that. And now, the most importantly, the star of the show is how to invest on microLEAP's platform.
Looking for alternative investments that provide better returns than fixed deposits? Try P2P financing with microLEAP. So, what are the steps? Go onto our website and create an account. Choose Become an Investor. Fill in the applicant details, including full name, IC, and date of birth. Scan or take a picture of the front and back of your IC. Choose Files and Upload. Then either upload a scanned copy of your bank statement or transfer RM1 online from your bank account. Agree and click the agreement, TNC and privacy policy. Click Submit and wait for us to carry out our checks. Once due diligence has been carried out, you're approved. Add to your available balance by FBX or online transfer, or by cash deposit, check or bank transfer. Go to the funding list and search for investment notes. Find the returns and tenors that suits you. Click on the investment note to find out more about the issuer or borrower. Once you like what you see, choose your amount and click Invest Now. Or choose Auto Invest and select your criteria so that you don't miss out on any investments. Here's your term sheet which details your trade. And you have 24 hours to retract your investment if you change your mind. The payment schedule tells you when you receive your payments. Regulated by the Securities Commission Malaysia. Happy investing!
Actually, another one is this one. So, hold on. And then I'll be open to Q&A.
Looking for alternative investments that provide better returns than fixed deposits? Are you looking for Islamic investments that are Sharia compliant? Try Islamic P2P financing with microLEAP. So, what are the steps? Go onto our website and create an account. Choose Become an Investor. Fill in the applicant details, including full name, IC, and date of birth. You may choose Islamic accounts only in your investor application. Scan or take a picture of the front and back of your IC. Choose the files and upload. Then either upload a scanned copy of your bank statement or transfer 1 ringgit online from your bank account. Then agree and tick the agreement, TNC and privacy policy. Click submit and wait for us to carry out our checks. Once due diligence has been carried out, you're approved. Add to your available balance by FPX, online transfer, or by cash deposit, check, or bank transfer. Go to the funding list and search for Islamic investment notes. Select Islamic investment notes by clicking here. Find the returns and tenors that suits you. Click on the Islamic investment notes to find out more about the issuer or borrower. Once you like what you see, choose your amount and click Invest Now. Or choose Auto Invest and select your criteria so that you don't miss out on our latest Islamic notes. Here is your Islamic term sheet which details your trade. And you have 24 hours to retract your investment if you change your mind. The payment schedule tells you when you receive your payments. Regulated by the Securities Commission Malaysia, SC. Thank you for choosing microLEAP. Small steps, big impact. Happy investing!
All right, I think I'm done and open to Q&As.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. That was a very informative presentation. We do have quite a few questions. Right, so the first question, someone's asked, you mentioned that there are risks involved as an investor. What are those risks?
Great question. I think the best thing you could do is when you do go through any of our investment notes, first thing to look out for is the credit risk rating, whether it's low, medium, or high risk. As again, post-COVID, we've been a bit more tighter, so there's mainly low or medium risk only. But just don't get the wrong impression that low risk means low returns. Generally, that would be the case, but I think in this day and age with invoice financing and the more secure financing products that we have, then those ones are actually giving a pretty decent return. Again, not 50% in 1 month or 2 months or nonsense like that, but something reasonable. Something that at least is better than what's most things in the market. And what's the other one? Of course, yes, credit, and then the scroll down a little bit to the credit risk rationale. So on our any investment note, we actually give a credit risk rationale on probability of default, etc., that is covered there. So that is something that to look out for. I mean, because I think that is our duty of care as well. We will make sure that we will tell you from the risk rating, whether it's low, medium, or high, but further details, especially for the macro financing, we have a fact sheet to give you the full picture, but more importantly, a fuller picture, but more importantly, on the credit risk rationale, we will tell you the PD score, which is probability of default score, as well as our credit bureau, Experian, etc., that will tell you what's their I score as well, what's their credit scoring as well. So that also we will provide that information to our investors.
All right. Okay, one of the question is our investment capital guaranteed?
No such thing. There's always something that I think it must be pointed out. There's never such thing as a full guarantee. What we can do, or what we have done, is a mitigation on the principal for micro in terms of the key person PA insurance. So in the event, as I mentioned, the food truck driver gets into an accident, the principal is covered. Let's not be greedy. We have some neighbors down south who have also invested with us, who want their returns as well as the principal to be covered. microLEAP is not that, microLEAP is not able to do that. But at least with that kind of mitigation in place, as well as like as I mentioned before, where the invoice financing, the invoice acts as a mitigation as well, because basically we cite the funds, we pay back our trustees. Then it's not going to be out of our control. So things like that, because basically that's so far that is running like clockwork. Those kind of invoice financing, grant financing options, but I think we're pretty careful on the macro side of things, but also on the micro side of things, because we really carry out proper duty checks before we onboard anyone. So yeah, that's where it comes in. I think the key factor here is the credit scoring, credit assessment. Yeah.
Okay. What if the borrower defaults their loan payment? What is the impact on the investor?
Sorry, got distracted by Rachel. Sorry, can you say that again?
Sure. What if the borrowers default their loan payment? What is the impact on the investor?
Yeah, great question. We have a 7-day grace period to start off with. That's our default management process, the beginning of it. And then after the grace period, we have, again, late fees that we will charge. For Islamic, it goes straight to charity. But the main thing is sometimes we do give a waiver as well, because sometimes it's COVID. We have to take that into account. Whether that is the elephant in the room, that's not going to go away anytime soon, even though we're going towards endemic phase. We need to start taking that. Hopefully, we can start seeing the hockey stick curve soon. But until that day comes, we have to deal with it the way we're dealing now. So post the grace period, we'll look at. We're already on the phone with them before anything. So normally we try to do a late payment restructuring. Nothing major. Hopefully not a full restructuring, but something along deferred payment plan. But at the same token, if all else fails, we get to the debt recovery agent that we use. And I think several P2P operators use the same or similar agencies, where they will help to recover the debt, or at least they'll start giving the letter of demands, etc. And that usually works, to be honest. I'll give some good feedback on that. I mean, thankfully, usually sometimes a physical letter sent and letters sent in general via WhatsApp, emails, and everything in between all our contact points, they tend to pick up the phone after that and go, okay, please, let's have a conversation. And that seems to be working, because again, when we try to be, as I mentioned earlier, the Jaga Hati bit, we try to look into the whole picture, because usually they're genuine, they do want to pay back, and then, but again, as we already mentioned, nothing is 100% guarantee. If we ever were to go to the next level, which we touch wood haven't gone there yet, but if we do, it will be the full-on court case, etc. That will be towards day 90 and above, maybe even longer than that. But hopefully it doesn't we don't go to that level anytime soon. So far we haven't done. So far everybody, worst case scenario was restructured. But for now, I think we also have to admit that it's now on our 3rd years where we're starting to see actually a harder time for us on our collections, etc. It's been tough on the micro, especially it's actually on the micro side of things, but I think that's naturally so. I mean, whether we like it or not, we have to face the elephant in the room that we're still in post not even post pandemic, still pandemic/endemic times. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can investors choose where to invest?
Yeah, of course. We have our auto invest function, as we've highlighted a couple of times, and also in the videos. Basically, set your criteria and let the auto invest do the work. And also then we also have a league of extraordinary investors on our platform. So basically, when you do auto invest, that actually helps you in the league, because you get to climb the ladder a lot faster. And every month we give out microLEAP credits so that you can use those credits to reinvest, as well as yearly huge credits. And maybe soon we will start having luncheons again. We haven't had that winners luncheon for a while. But yeah, hopefully next year we'll have a winners luncheon. But yeah, so that kind of thing. Yeah, it's always better to diversify. I mean, that's why we have auto invest in the first place. There's no point putting all your eggs in one investment node. Spread it out, right? Maybe 1,000 each, 100 each, etc. Because then you mitigate automatically by having the auto invest do the work. Because let's just say, touch wood, certain investment note of your maybe 100 ringgit or 500 ringgit was invested in MSME there went into default because at some point, again, as I mentioned in my slide, our target is always 0 to 3 from day one of microLEAP's inception. So, if you ever hit a default on one note among 10, your other 9 is more than enough to cover whatever happened on note 1, for example. But note 2 to 10 were fine. So things like that.
Okay. If Masjid Kia needs 30,000 ringgit, but the amount collected from the investor is less than that, does microLEAP top up the additional amount, or how?
No such thing. Main thing is under SC rules, 80% of the financing amount is target amount was reached. The issuer or the company is allowed to draw down. That is SC rules. But so far, we've had 100% funding. Because as mentioned on the partnerships, we do have some key partners with microLEAP finally. I mean, we're slowly but surely growing. So the more, because retail investors are any one of us that invest as little as 50 ringgit, but you also have the likes of the corporates, the banks, etc., who are now looking to, instead of reinventing the wheel, partner with the likes of a licensed operator such as ourselves, a regulated entity such as ourselves, to park their funds and grow and get a return, i.e. Get an Islamic asset, Yeah. So it's I don't think the company really needs to worry too much on the 80% rule, but the 80% rule is there. We are not definitely going to top up because, again, as a regulated entity, we're not going to use our funds to help you in that sense. Even if we wanted to, as a personal investor, yes. I mean, if I see the company is good, I mean, I'll invest my money, and I have auto invest. I am preaching because I am auto investor myself, so I'll let my auto investment do the work for me.
Okay, so the returns will be credited into our bank account or retained in our account. How to send funds back to our bank account and how fast?
Great question. Of course, everything remains within the trust account, but you will have your own, because we have a VTA, a virtual trust account that's tagged to every investor. So when you invest in microLEAP, it will be to your assigned bank account. Say Ila or myself, we will have our own. But at any point in time, you may withdraw, and a withdrawal fee of 1 ringgit will be charged.
Okay.
Because actually the cost of that is actually more than that. Thank you, the banks in Malaysia, to charging you more. But we charge a nominal fee of 1 ringgit which doesn't cover the cost, but at least it helps to cover it.
Maybe since we're running out of time, so I will take one more question. Will mobile application be made available in the future for microLEAP?
Yeah, for sure. We're looking to launch hopefully by next year. But of course, because we've been adding more products and everything, that's that's also why it was slightly delayed. But no biggie. It's always been our intention to launch the mobile app actually even a year ago. I hope that we can get it off and running by H2 of this year.
So that'd be great. So it'd be a lot more easier for people to start everything via the mobile phone. Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you Matthew once again for speaking in our webinar today. Don't forget, if you wish to watch this webinar again, we will upload the webinar on our YouTube channel in due course. Do check out our previous webinar sessions on our YouTube channel. Stay tuned to our social media platforms as we will update on our next webinar sessions. Don't forget to follow any of our social media platforms for up-to-date information on our events or even basic information on how to be a smart investor. Before we end this session, don't forget to do your due diligence before you invest. If an entity or individual asks you to deposit your money into their personal bank account, don't. Always check with the SC whether the entity or individual you are dealing with is either licensed or registered. Do also check the SC investor alert list before investing. With that, thank you everyone. Hope to see everyone again in the next webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Matthew.